If you've been on TikTok, you're sure to have come across these screaming potatoes. The Hyrax's bright personality has caught the attention of millions of netizens, triggering acute aggression cyber assault. They may look like a taxidermy guinea pig, but these mammals act more like a lizard, are more closely related to manatees and elephants than to rats, and make a cameo in the Bible, all while encapsulating the history of our planet's climate deep in the bowels of their multi-generational bathrooms. This is the story of the internet's default mammals, the Hyrax. Hi, I'm Taylor Schuldeis, and you're watching Animalogic. The internet may think that the Hyrax is the most unoriginal critter to grace their screens. It's round, has a generic brown coloring, and a mild case of RHF, resting Hyrax face. But like any villain, there is more to the Hyrax than meets the eyes and ears. In Africa, during the Eocene, an unfamiliar beast wandered the landscape. Ancient cousins of the Hyrax, which had the uninspired but appropriate name of Titanohyrax, grew to 1,000 kilograms, the size of a Clydesdale horse. They, along with the other members of the Hyrax family, acted as the primary herbivores of Africa for dozens of millennia, until one day, the Bovidae nation attacked. Or rather, migrated from Asia during the Miocene and ate grass better than our giant gerbil-looking protagonists. Before bovids, Hyraxes and their cousins, part of the superorder Afrotheria, ate Africa's grass to their heart's content. At the time, Africa was an island continent, until the Great Old World Biotic Interchange, the fateful day it connected with Eurasia around 20 million years ago, and the master grazers that are cows took over. But during the isolation, Afrotherian critters got to fill pretty much every available ecological niche in the continent. I'm talking fossorial, aquatic, rock-dwelling, arboreal, and of course, savanna grazer. This family was really doing the most. You could even call them the hijacks of all trades, like Hyrax. Of course, this insane variety gave early scientists a real headache when trying to figure out the family tree. Hyraxes kinda look like dollar store rats, and it took scientists until the late 1990s when they were able to look at their DNA and determine that they were in fact elephant cousins. And even more than that, the study proved that they, along with manatees, aardvarks, and golden moles, were all part of the same radiation. So why not rodent if rodent-shaped? To be honest, it seems like they just didn't really look that hard. There were other anatomical clues that they were Afrotherians. Their hoof-like nails, their internal testicles, and those pointy little buck teeth, actually tusks. Like elephants, their tusks exhibit sexual dimorphism, so the males have big pointies, while the females are typically smaller and more blunt. No, don't bring up the picture of the elephant tusks. Oh, they really hate the comparison. Hyrax tusks are not useful for eating. Instead, these herbivorous divas will break off vegetation by angling their head at a 90-degree angle and using their molar teeth to separate their chosen morsel from the rest of the plant, then just eat it through the side of their mouth. The tusks are used for fighting and mating. And when they want to mate, boy do they let everybody know about it. We told you there would be more than meets the ears. Hyraxes are famous for their awawas, but did you know that they are especially talented at la-la-las? That's singing, that's how singing sounds. The awawas on your TikTok feed are called Sentinel barks and warning trills, used to alert their buddies of approaching threats and give them time to scurry back to their hideout. Kind of like a fire alarm, but for birds and cats. But they also sing songs that are melodic and boast a repertoire of wails, chucks, and snorts. They're like the corn of the animal kingdom. And the songs have just as many interpretations as corn songs too. But my favorite is that researchers suspect that male singers will combine these elements together to advertise how hot they are. Bigger males with big old lungs can sing louder and longer. You know what they say? The bigger the lung, the longer the song. What did you think I was gonna say? Males that are less stressed and therefore have lower cortisol levels chuck more frequently. Same with lower andro levels. Those boys snort more. Healthy Hyraxes sing with a richer, deeper sound, aided by the elongation of their throats. So even the little guys can sound much bigger than they actually are to intimidate rivals with, I guess, shallower throats. Female hyraxes love good singers, and they don't even get the ick when they do that nasty little tongue wiggle they're always doing. Okay, that's enough, sir. I'm uncomfortable. But he doesn't mean to be a creeper. He's actually trying to learn more about her through her pheromones, which they process through an organ in their snoots. This is the Jacobsen or vomeronasal organ. Tons of animals have it, most famously, snakes. Snakes flick their tongues to catch chemicals in the air and pull them into their Jacobsen's organ. It's like an upgraded sense of smell. Some mammals, like horses, lift their upper lips to trap the chemicals into their Jacobsen's organ. This is called the phlegm response, and many mammals do it when they smell something interesting and want to take a closer look at the chemicals, if that makes sense. But hyraxes are true originals, and they do it by flicking their tongue like a snake. It looks weird, but it works. In the 30+ million years that hyraxes have been screaming and flicking their tongues like Gene Simmons, they've diversified into 3 broad groups. The rock hyraxes, which are the most abundant, the bush hyraxes, and the tree hyraxes. While visually they are, all very bland, they have important physiological and behavioral differences that set them apart. Rockies live amongst the rocks, are diurnal and live in big groups of up to 80 individuals. But a typical colony is closer to around 30, with distinct breeding groups of 1 male to about 10 to 20 females. The males are territorial and hate stranger rock hyraxes, but they sometimes share mixed species nurseries with bush hyraxes. Bushies share their diurnal lifestyle and some rock climbing hobbies, but they don't interbreed, so there's no fighting over females, and the babies can all be raised together. That's so stinking cute. Tree hyraxes are not like other hyraxes. They prefer a solitary existence among the branches and are nocturnal instead of diurnal. They're the introverts of the family. They spend their nights brooding and singing. Their probably super emo songs are heavily relied on to communicate across distances and amongst the low visibility of thick foliage. They are strictly browsers, eating twigs, bark, fruit, and any other picky bits from high up in the trees, just like the bush hyrax. Rock hyrax like to graze grasses, but during droughts can switch to twigs, fruits, and even lichens. This flexibility is what makes them the most widespread of all the hyraxes. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I've never seen an elephant run up a tree. So, while hyraxes do share some physical similarities with their cousins, they also have some very cool, unique traits, like clammy hands. Their tiny, moist, rubbery little toes help them keep a great grip on smooth surfaces like stone, so they can scurry around their habitats with agility. Actually, their feet are the only place they have sweat glands. These poor babies are not well thermoregulated for a mammal, so they're often seen sunning themselves like lizards in order to maintain a healthy body temperature. They lay out with their dogs out, beans up, cooking in the sun. As you can imagine, sweaty, grippy feet might be great for scurrying, but little else. They have some hoof-like nails, but they're not well designed for digging, so hyraxes just find whatever shelter is available and make the best of it. So what exactly did these chatty, squatty, spelunking little sweaty-palmed underdogs do to upset the masses? Well, they just did their best. The internet loves irony. It's funny to bully such a cute, harmless creature with a big, bold personality. Really, we're just matching the hyrax's energy here and wondering what the heck is going on in their little noggin. But we're not the first generation to get obsessed with them. To find those people, we have to go back to ancient history. Holy sea cow! Hyraxes are mentioned and complimented in the dang Bible. 4 things on Earth are small and very wise. The ants are weak, but they provide their food in the summer. The rock hyraxes are small, but they make their homes in the cliffs. The locusts have no king, yet all of them march in order. The lizard you can take in your hands, but they live in kings' palaces. And they call them smart. Take that, haters. Who's the screaming potato now? The hyraxes still, I guess. Like their elephant cousins, hyraxes navigate complex social dynamics. They also share habits with some of the biggest tech CEOs. But instead of wearing the same turtleneck every day, they adopt rigid schedules, always using the same entrances and exits, hanging out on the same branches, peeing in the same spot for millennia. But more on that later. This is not laziness. By following the same daily routines, they decrease the mental effort it takes to make menial choices, and instead focus on what's important. No, not increasing shareholder value, keeping their colony safe from predators, just like the good old days. The Bible also calls them unclean for human consumption because they chew cud but don't have split hooves like cows, but they were wrong. Hyraxes don't chew cud. They actually can't regurgitate. If they get a tummy ache, it's staying in one of the chambers in their stomachs. My worst nightmare. I get tummy aches a lot. Hyraxes' stomachs have 3 chambers to break down food, but the microbial fermentation happens in their hindgut, so they pretty much digest their food like a ruminating animal. So, they look like a rat, but digest like a rhino. Make it make sense. So Hyraxes don't chew cud, but it does look like they do. They move their grumpy little jaws around in a chewing motion to communicate when they're feeling threatened. Since we're on the topic of digestion, probably the coolest and nastiest Hyrax fact is all about their excreta. Not to be confused with excrement. Hyrax pee is viscous, which is a lot to hear, and it doesn't make it any easier to hear that there's a lot of it, all in one place. Like hundreds of generations and thousands of years worth of it. Hyraxes have a fun little habit of all going to the bathroom in one spot forever. Like the Hyraxes today are peeing where their great etc. grand potato pappy was also peeing. These 50,000-year-old outhouses are called middens. Now that's what I call generational filth. But one mammal's filth is another mammal's treasure. Throughout the years, as Hyraxes go about their duty, environmental information like air bubbles, plants, pollen, etc. all gets stuck. Their calcium-rich urine, which dries up and takes on a dark, tar-like appearance, is called Hyraceum. Think La Brea tar pits. Heck, think ancient ice sheets. Researchers can core into the layers of PP and wee whiz to get access to thousands of years worth of information about our climate and how it's changing. Some of the environments where Hyrax make their homes are extremely dry. Arid, hot climates are not so good at retaining organic materials for long periods of time since everything just dries up and blows away. But not with viscous pee around. Hyraceum catches all the little bits and bobs that scientists need to understand ancient environments. Not only that, but Hyraceum is used as an ethical source of musk for perfumes. A perfect gift for the most mid of your friends. I don't know about you, but it's getting a place of honor on my Christmas list. Hyraxes may look simple, but they have a lot more going on than one might expect from a potato. Thank you, Hyrax, for being such a cool little weirdo. If you enjoyed learning about nature's untitled project, check out our episode on wombats, Australia's version of the nondescript ball of fur with surprising abilities. Because you special folks stayed to the very end, you get a very special treat. A song performed by me and written by a Hyrax. So, what should we talk about next? Let us know in the comments down below and subscribe for new videos every week. Bye-bye!